So today we're gonna break down school and what school was made for. I am the Credit Kid, and you feel me? This is called Classes in Session, and I'm gonna give a breakdown from what I think school should be used for and what school is used for today. So today we have a bunch of kids that go to school. You know, we're in these little offices and we're in these buildings. They don't really have any, windows or anything like that. Nothing about nature. So we start school anywhere between pre-K to kindergarten. And what we're doing is we're doing the same thing every single day. So we have a math class, we have an art class, we have a bunch of other different classes. And all we're doing is we're just going to do a bunch of work. Somebody's just telling us what to do. They're giving us directions, and there's law and order, meaning you can't just really just say anything or do anything. You have to listen to the one teacher talk. There's no dialogue. There's no understanding of who you are. We start this very early at pre-K. So what we're doing is school is supposed to be educating, right? But they don't educate us. Why don't they educate us? Because school is actually a program. You get what I'm saying? Following me here? If you following me here, okay, so boom. So what I mean by that is school is not here to implement anything that is outside of creating freedom of speech, freedom of thought. Not saying that we don't have these laws, but that's not the idea of why they put school in place and what they wanted school to do. So I started off still talking about school. We're gonna go back to school, right? We're gonna go back to school. So as we're back to school, we're in, sixth grade now. So now we're learning a little bit more math, basic science. So look, I don't want to keep talking about all this and not get any proof or any in-depth. I'm just breaking down their methods and how they think on the terms of how we all are supposed to think. Because I went to school, we all go to school, supposed to go to school, right? So we got math, we got science, you got social studies. So this is the idea of why I say they program us and not educate us. So if you break down math, you break down science, you break down social studies, there's elements and there's ideas, because social studies is supposed to be history, but they call it social studies. Then in some schools, you even got religion if you go to a religion school, but if you go to a public school, they don't teach religion at all. So I actually went to a Catholic school. They did teach religion. I can get onto that on a whole nother day. But you go into all of these subjects. You do got English, right? I think new schools today, they are teaching foreign languages, sometimes Spanish or whatever, French, whatever. They don't really teach. So look, they give you the bare minimum of what you need to survive in the world, right? So when it comes down to math, they give you enough to know how to count. They really don't want you to be relying on anything that can help be beneficial, because if math was something to teach you to be in the new world, all they would have you do is just use a calculator. Why would I be sitting up here writing down numbers on a piece of paper and not just use a calculator? And now we have ChatGPT, so why wouldn't I just use ChatGPT? But math is not used for that. Math is a system of programming for how to use numbers so you can get a job being a cashier, or if you work at a factory, you can do basic counting and things like this. All of this is programming to set you up, to put you in a position to, I would say, rely on the system that is built, because school from sixth grade get you set up to what you call high school, right? And from high school, we supposed to go to college. And college is supposed to be the setup to get us into the life that we want. However, college is the first 2 years repeating exaggerated high school lessons, right? So all college is repeating old stuff that you were going to high school and telling you the same stuff repetitive. They want you to go over basic algebra again. They want you to go over basic English. They want to see what you know, but they're not actually figuring out what type of learner you are. So the idea of what I feel like school should be used from an early age until an older age is to actually learn certain things. First, you should figure out what type of learner you are. Everybody is different types of learners. You have audio learners, which means you like to listen. If you like to read books, that means you would like to listen to the book instead of, read. Then you have visual learners. That would be people who like to read. Then you have learners, which is kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners are learners who actually would like to, in terms of you watching somebody chop a tree, you would sit there and watch them chop the tree in real life, and then you would practice to chop the tree after you sat there and watched and analyzed them chop trees. So our basic sense of learning from when all of this stuff wasn't implemented or put into position, we have to go back to the bare basics of who we were as people. So as people and creatures, we had to learn how to walk, talk, and look at stuff and learn how to communicate without knowing any of this stuff that they used to teach us. So we used to have to actually watch people hunt, learn how to hunt. So that means if there was a dad and there was a mom and they had kids, dad would take the kids or maybe go by himself and go hunt. Just say if he was a fisher and there was little fishies. It was an actual learning experience, and it was more of a family thing to understand and say, hey, this is how we hunt, this is how we go after things. And then to carry this over into the new world, none of this, the way they teach us, is things to actually learn. I think a lot of the classes that I used to go to, I used to ask myself how much of the information that I actually retained. However, you think about